Is this working? Say hi, Tank Baby.
Hey.
Hear that? She said hi! So welcome back, lads and ladies, guys and gals, to the greatest show on earth. What? I am my biggest fan. So, welcome back to Toshio Thunder. Today we have some more War Thunder for y'all to enjoy, and we have the Tank Baby sitting right here with us, because she just woke up from nap time, and she's being all cute and adorable. And in case you guys didn't know, for you Full Metal Alchemist fans out there, I am Maze Hughes. If that means nothing to the rest of you, that's okay. So, Tank Baby joins us for the re-debut of the IS-6. This is the first time I've really put any significant... Are you working on a poopy? Yeah, you're getting kind of grumpy there. I mean, not grumpy, grunty. Grunty. Yeah. Yeah, are you touching the mic? What is that? What is that? I don't know what you guys are hearing, but she is just fondling the mic. So, boom, you thought that was funny. That was kind of disappointing, that Coppola shot, right? It just kind of all got absorbed. Poor Commander, though, poor fella. But, we'll move on. I hope this isn't too distracting for you guys, but I kind of adore my baby girl. And, where are we? So we're in arcade, as you can see, and the reason we're in arcade is because I'm grinding right now, and I just happen to be in the mood for some arcade action. I find it to be a little bit more consistent, and as far as results, because I do get a couple of respawns if I mess up, and that's something I really like about arcade, is respawns. In fact, I would like to see a permanent game mode that has unlimited respawns, but that's just me. I think that would kind of cut down on a lot of the frustration with the game, because when I rage, and I don't like raging, I don't need to get angry at this game. That's my fault for getting angry. I really shouldn't. But sometimes I do. And when I do rage, just so you know, because I know that I have friends that have to deal with that same issue too, and it's good to deal with those when you're young than to... Better to do that than to let it sink in and make you a bitter old man. And rage is really... It's about losing control of yourself. And I really don't like to do that. I've seen people let their emotions go out of control in some very, very destructive ways. I'm talking like murderous ways. But that's a story for another time. So I like to keep myself in control, and I've found that that's a good thing. It's because you can still have fun, and you can still be angry and be in control. But, well, you know, sometimes circumstances catch up with you, like that potato that I shot into that Panther 2 caught up with him. And when things catch up with you and you find yourself raging, responding with anger, the first thing to do is to stop. Stop yourself and say, why am I angry? Is it because the IS-6 is still OP and he's flanked my whole team and I'm not getting any team support and I don't have any fire extinguishers because my M103 is stock? You know, do you have a reason to be angry? And the reason you ask yourself this question is not because you need to have an answer and you need to identify that thing that makes you angry. That's not what's important at this step of dealing with your rage. Because as soon as you ask yourself the question and you start reasoning out why it is that you're angry, you start taking control of your anger. You know what I'm saying? Before, rage is a back of your brain reaction, and it shoots up to your eyes, and it goes to your hands before it goes to your mind. You know what I'm saying? But if you stop and you just say, what's the reason I'm angry? Do I have a reason to be angry? And if the answer is no, then that can fix it right there. Yeah, you're exactly right. That's the reason. Yeah, Guppy's really helping out with the commentary here. And you thought this was going to be a video on the IS-6, but we're grinding here, and we're just talking about rage in general. Why are we talking about that? I just feel like teaching a little bit, I guess. I am a teacher, after all. and maybe one of my students is watching. So, to carry on, the first thing you do, ask yourself, why am I angry? Or do I have a reason to be angry? And again, this isn't to this isn't to deal with the issue, it's just to make the issue known to yourself so that you're thinking reasonably. And then the next step is, ask yourself, do I need to be angry? You see, sometimes you need to get angry. Sometimes you need to say enough is enough. But sometimes, and this is a lot of times, most of the time, and especially always when you're playing a game, you don't need to be angry. Because you don't need to fight for your life. You don't need to defend someone's honor. You don't need to stand up for what's right. Because a game is an empty thing. And you're supposed to be having fun. So do you need to be angry? In a game? No. And then the next question, do I need to take a break? And I was getting frustrated and I was getting grumpy a couple of days ago. And then my innocent and beautiful and just amazing wife, who, you know, she, like, her chassis is the reason that Tank Baby is such a brilliantly created, you know, model. She didn't get a whole lot of good design elements from Daddy. I'm more potato-shaped, but in a sturdy way, you know, in a manly way. A manly potato. And she only has eyes for me. But anyway, my beautiful and precious wife comes home after a really hard day of work, and again, she's the one that works. I'm here, you know, taking care of the baby and just getting grumpy because sometimes Tank Baby decides that nap time is for the weak, you know, and the best way to deal with the issue is to post on the forums. But, you know, her forum is just, well, it's like this whiny sound that's like a manufactured cry, and it's like, I know what you're doing. And then my response is always like, you're fine, you know, this is happening, you need a nap, this is why you're so grumpy. Anyway, regular maintenance for the Tank Baby aside, I was grumpy. War Thunder, I just started up the game. Yeah, see, she's giving you an example. She wants to do the things. She wants to do the things. So War Thunder wasn't being kind to me. And so I was grumpy, I was frustrated, and I try not to, like, say hurtful things, especially to my wife, because, again, I've seen relationships get destroyed and just torn apart. It's so easy to tear somebody apart, especially a girl, with your words. So you have to be cautious of those things. But I had an attitude, you know what I mean? Like, you could feel it in the air. I was giving short answers. I wasn't being empathetic. I wasn't really being responsive or focusing on her because I was mad. Yeah. Do you want to do the things? Hold on a second, guys. I gotta see to this Tank Baby. I think she needs some fuel. Okay, so where was I? So I had an attitude, and she picks up on that right away because she's a sharp girl, and so already she's had a hard day, and you know, I've been putting off doing like the important adult things that I always do because I hate phone calls so much, and I'm still dealing with, you know, well, just like things that should be simple, but it's a mix between they aren't as simple as... Anyway, I've been putting off doing important adult stuff, and that always disappoints her because, you know, I really should be doing those things, and she would have done them long ago if it was her. Anyway, so, I mean, she comes home, she's worked hard, and I'm still disappointing. And I'm the one that has an attitude, you know, it's just like, really, you know, but she's too kind to really bring me to task for those things, because she's a really patient woman. And you know what, I'm smart enough to know that when I just have an attitude of bitterness that brings her down, you know what, I shouldn't be doing that. And so I've learned that it's wise to be quick to apologize and to really mean it, you know, because if you want to change the world, you got to be willing to change yourself. And I know that sounds dumb, but really the only person you have control of is yourself. And you know what? You're going to mess up. You're gonna mess up a lot in your life, so learn to apologize, learn to mean it, and learn to act on it. Who am I talking to? Myself. So that's what I do. And anyway, that's just sort of an example, vague as it is, of when I get angry over a stupid thing, right? Over a game. What do? Do I have a reason to be angry? No, this is a game. Why? Why am I angry? What's getting me all riled up? Well, I'm just not doing well. I'm just not having a good day in this game. Well, is it time to take a break? You know what I did? I went out, and I wasn't feeling very good. She's like, hey babe, could you mow the lawn? And I was like, I don't feel very good. And I could have. I knew, right? I'm the man of the house. The big, strong, manly man of the house. If I didn't want to go mow the lawn today, I could just say, you know what? Not doing it. I don't feel good. How much of a wimp does that make me? First question. How much of a wimp does that make me? So I went out. I told her I'm gonna go mow some lawns. So I went to I sort of like mow lawns on the side for tank money. Don't tell Tank Mom, but I've got my eyes on a tank, right? So I went and I mowed an apartment complex, and then I mowed my grandpa's place, and then I came home and I mowed our lawn, and I did a good job. For me. I'm not all that good at mowing lawns, even though I do it for money. Hey, don't tell my customers, right? But I don't charge much. Anyway, I went out and I did more, right? I did more than I was asked, and I made a point of it. I made a point of it that day to make my wife feel loved. You know why? Because I broke something when I got angry, when I had an attitude. I broke her feelings, right? And that's a real thing to any person. Like, if you feel broken-spirited, there's just nothing. There's just nothing that matters. There's nothing that's good to a broken spirit. And when you're close to someone, it's so easy to break their spirit. You know what? It's like driving an IS-6. It's really easy to break the spirit of these arcade players by driving an IS-6. Why? Because this tank is so good, right? It's still good. And it does have weak points, and it does have the ability to get taken down, but it's still just so strong. Very strong tank. And the cannon alone can break the spirit of of people you face in arcade. But this is a game. I'm not responsible for the emotional impact that playing the game has on other people. But I decided to take responsibility for what I had done with my attitude, right? And again, I like to think I hold myself to a pretty high standard, but it pays off. It pays off big time. And I'll tell you why. I have an incredible wife, and she takes good care of me, and I try to take care of her. And so I made it a point to make her feel loved that day, and not out of guilt, but out of ownership. You see, because I own my actions. And when I do something, and when I mess something up, and when I make a mistake, I take responsibility. And any day is a good day to make my wife feel loved, because she takes good care of me. And we have a beautiful little family with our little tank baby, who's currently crawling circles around the living room right now, and just waiting until her next chance to make a campaign of going after Dada and trying to get him to notice her, because she is a girl and she wants Daddy to pay attention to her. But right now she's got her own little mission. She's got her hairbrush. Let's see if she brushes her hair. She's been trying to brush her hair because she likes the feel of it, I think, and she likes the brush in general. And now she's just kind of, she's broken out the little finger, and she's feeling those little bristles. And she just said, "I love brush." Yep, I heard it very clearly there. But she tries to brush her hair, and she gets the brush all backwards so that the back of the brush is on her hair and the bristles are just sticking out, and she'll figure it out. She's such a smart girl. Every day something new. So, speaking of, War Thunder continues to have new things added every day, and some of those things are incredible things that everybody loves. Wait, I guess that a lot of people love. And some of those things, they're buggy. And some of those things have been very aggressively balanced in ways that don't really represent what the players were hoping for. You know, like, to use an example that's very recent, people have been looking at the dev server footage, and I think honestly that when the tanks come live, they're going to be just like they are on the dev server. You know, as far as their stats and capabilities, and the overabundant armor on the T-64B, and the lack of powerful rounds on the American and British tanks. And I think that the reason they're in the game like this is to maintain the meta that's already been established. American tanks, in general, good mobility, decent guns, and unreliable armor, which is exactly what they gave to the M1 Abrams. Another thing, the Abrams was renowned for its survivability, and they've included some of those features that, from the footage I've watched, like, you can get shot a lot of times in the Abrams, get penned a lot, and still survive to an incredible degree. So that, it's almost like driving. The current state of the M46 is something like that. You could see my, The Champ, I think I call the video, where I have the Rocky footage alongside the M46 in arcade, and only in arcade, but I still survived a lot of hits that would have taken down, say, a T-54 even, that has T-54, T-55. Anyway, I'm not all that familiar. All the Soviet medium tanks where the crew is cramped together wouldn't have survived that many penetrations, unless they got eaten up by the fuel tanks and ammo rack. But question for a different day, comrade. And you can see that we were in. Was I going somewhere with that? Oh yeah. Well, the meta has stayed the same. When you're playing German tanks, you rely on your gun and not your armor for the most part. You know, barring the Tiger II. That's about the only tank that can sort of heavy tank. But the rest are like mediums or glorified mediums. And a German light tank. Yeah, please pay monies for the light tank. It's cold balance. But you get the idea. From start to finish, you can play the German teams, and if you learn to rely on your firepower and your tactical positioning and nothing else, you can profit, right? The meta is maintained, even into the new highest tier. Which I think is why they don't have the Leopard 2 that actually has armor. The Americans, as I mentioned, decent guns, good mobility, and a surprising amount of survivability, even if you do get penetrated through your unreliable armor. Even up to the Abrams, it's just like that, except now you have top-of-the-line mobility. And decent armor that doesn't matter, because everything is going to be firing things that can go through that decent armor at, you know, the ranges where your gun can actually be effective. So, and then the Soviets, they get generally the best armor, which is generally reliable from the front, and very powerful guns that in some instances they have a lower fire rate, so maybe that's a form of balancing, but in general I'd say the Soviet tanks are probably the most noob friendly, and even still other nations can compete against them theoretically, but may require a bit more skill is a word I don't like to use in this context, but a bit more subtlety, we'll put it that way. And so you can sort of see, and then if you're wondering about the meta for French tanks, that is maintained that certain vehicles are fantastique, and the rest are not worth mentioning. So French top tier looks like it's going to be le garbage. But that is just the humble opinion of this boy, who does not like to go into top tier. Like, IS-6 at a 7.3 is an uncomfortable battle rating for me. I've basically stopped using this tank just because, well, for one, I'm not interested in Soviet vehicles. I'm just not interested. They're good. They just don't get me going. And part of it's their play style, and part of it's the fact that I'm just interested in American vehicles. I'm interested in German vehicles. I don't know. I never caught the bug for Soviet tech. It just doesn't quite have an appeal to it, and it's probably because of my biases, honestly. So, with that, you may have noticed that this match is not arcade, and we are still performing very nicely in the IS-6. These are matches that were, I think, back-to-back. There may have been 1 or 2 matches that I didn't put in this little roundup today as a review of the IS-6, because, you know, things happen. Centurion Mark X early match happens. Things like that. But overall, this tank is very easy to do well in. Basically, if you've played the early T-34s and you pretend that you have a much better gun, that's what the IS-6 is like. and you know what? CAS can still take us down. So that Bearcat done wrecked us good. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the advice today. I don't try to be pedantic, but this is more sort of how I teach myself. Anyway, guys, catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.